dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome back to the Warframe video. So today we got a bit of a preview going over these upcoming augments from the Dante Unbound update. We got 10 augments, and honestly some of these look really strong and like new staple augments basically. So we'll be doing some theory crafting and pre-release information. We also got some clarification from Pablo, the person that likely designed a bunch of these augments, on Twitter. So we'll be going over, some details about these augments that you might have not been aware of and how strong they'll actually be. So before we get into it, make sure you sub this channel. We do daily Warframe video uploads. I appreciate all the support on the recent videos, guys. I will definitely keep it up. I'll also be live on stream later tonight, grinding out some Warframe. So if you want to come hang out and while I'm grinding some Warframe, come on, stop by. All right, let's get right into it. We're covering 10 augments, so we don't want to dwell too much on each augment, especially because they're not even out yet. So let's start with the first one. It's going to be Axios Javelineers for Styanax. And we do have some actual clips of in-game gameplay of these for the ones that Dee's actually shown us. But yeah, we haven't seen a lot of these in-game. So for Axios Javelineers for Styanax, I think this one might be pretty good, but there might be a problem with it too. So the first ability of Styanax, it's an augment. Throwing the javelin creates a vortex on impact. They also spawn, Axios Javelin Augment. A pair of Styanax Spectres will spawn to throw javelins, creating vortexes on impact. Impaling an enemy will increase the duration of the vortex by 5 seconds. So most people helmet off Styanax's one, so let's just go over what it actually does. So the first ability of Styanax is called Axios Javelin. This augment's going to be called Axios Javelineers. And normally you just push the button, throw the spear. Now it does vortex it pulls in a relatively large area, but if you see right there, it's not really a vortex. It's more of a pull, and they're kind of stunned there for like 2 seconds. But if you look very closely, there is one enemy on a javelin there for a bit longer. Kind of hard to tell right here, but so the way this augment's going to work, and also let's just go ahead and look at the build real quick too. So you will be throwing, you'll summon these specters when you use this ability, which will create vortexes on hit. And spearing an enemy in that vortex will increase the duration of the vortex. So with a near max range build right here, we have a 39 meter explosion radius. So that means you're pulling in enemies within 39 meters. That's pretty good. I mean, nearly 40 actually. But like I said, the whole like CC aspect of it does not last very long. You pull those enemies in for like 2-3 seconds. That duration right there is how long the spear lasts for the one enemy you hit. So with this augment, what I'm thinking, and bear with me, I think it might just literally be this. Like a new Elite Sanctuary Onslaught situation. You throw the spear, everything pulled in, you throw the spear, and the spear does not cost very much energy. So this should be a 39 meter infinite vortex. And then of course Styanax can cast his 3 to give energy regen to his teammates. But here comes the real problem. Okay, you're gonna have an infinite vortex now. It might be useful for like, gas procs or electric procs or whatever. But that means you're potentially removing his 4. Because Styanax's 4 has another really good augment called Intrepid Stand, which gives you Overguard, and I had this config just to show how that works, but I usually helmet off Styanax's 1 for like Nourish or something, and Intrepid Stand and Final Stand are very good to give tons of Overguard to your teammates. And that's the problem. So, as you can see right here, on one of my normal Styanax builds, I have the first ability helmet off for Nourish. On this other one, where you have to have the first ability, because that's what the augment is for Axios Javelineers, you need to remove a different ability. So I was messing with Condemn to see if you could cast it while you were in the air with him. But yeah, you probably have to helmet off either his 2 or his 4, but you can't have different... I can't have an A config with the first ability to remove with Nourish, and then D config with like the second ability to remove with Nourish. You have to pick only one of those. So that's annoying, but that's how it is, because I mean Nourish is really good on Styanax because it multiplies his energy regen. But yeah, I think this could be a very nice thing if you could find a way to actually have this, keep this ability active, or rather keep this ability on your frame in like an Elite Sanctuary Onslaught situation. The radius of this is larger than Vauban's Vortex, I believe, even with the max range build. This could potentially be really good. So yeah, we'll see about that. That's the first augment down. Styanax's Axios Javelineers looking really good. Hopefully it actually is good if you can find a way to fit it on there. Now let's start off with the first augment that DE showed us on stream. It's going to be called, I think it's called like Damaging Decoy or something. It's the Loki Augment that we've been knowing about for a while. Now there is a typo on this this augment. It's not going to be 300 status procs, it's going to be 3 status procs, and we actually have some gameplay of it in on the dev stream. So let's go ahead and take a peek at that. Now it is low level missions. But yeah, I'm not expecting this one to be really amazing, phenomenal. But do keep in mind that Loki's helmet ability is decoy, so this should be usable on literally any character in the game. So what this one will do is that the decoy, when enemies attack the decoy, it will make the enemies take status procs, I think like 3 status procs, and they'll also take increased damage from reflected damage. So that means, I guess, with like rad procs or like whatever. They're basically just going to keep attacking the decoy, and then the decoy will damage. It's called damage decoy for a reason. Now, this one is not looking too phenomenal to me. First off, I don't really play Loki, so let's start off with that. I'm a little bit biased. I don't really play Loki ever. And also, like, Loki is not exactly a meta frame. He probably need a little bit more than that if he wanted to be getting some really, noticeable changes in 2024. So, now Pablo did comment on Twitter about this. People are saying, like, okay, well, it's a nice augment and all, but what am I supposed to do with this? Like, this is not really making Loki meta. And they're like, yeah, we could have made Loki a DPS god, but we decided not to. Loki is not supposed to be a DPS god, basically. This is what he's supposed to be, a trickster. So I actually helmet off decoy usually, but like I said, that is the helmet ability of Loki. So if you do put on another character, you can put on the decoy augment. And I think they also said they increased the health of decoy for this update as well. But yeah, guys, I'm not really thinking this one will be that great. Even if it scales to strength, really, like 350% increased damage, deflected ally damage. That is, yeah, no, I wouldn't even bother getting this one, honestly, because no one's using decoy, and if you are, it's going to make it really not that much better with this augment. It's better than nothing, I suppose, but yeah, let's just move on to an actual good augment here, and one that might be the strongest of the bunch. We got Divine Retribution for Nezha. Now, I already can tell this one's going to get changed before it actually gets released, because just reading this the way it is right now, it just sounds extremely broken. So let's go ahead and read it. Divine Spears Augment. It's the 4th ability of Nezha. When a speared enemy suffers from a status effect, the status effect spreads to all speared enemies. Spear explosions apply 10x status damage. So, yeah, that's a lot. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, it's a lot to read, but it's also pretty straightforward. Every enemy that's affected by your Divine Spears will take status procs that are inflicted upon the speared enemies. And then as far as the explosion part, the other says 10 times damage. I don't know exactly what that's supposed to mean. I'm guessing the slam damage when you deactivate its ability will multiply status by 10. But either way, you don't really need to be thinking about this too much to realize how OP that would actually be. So, for example, a status proc could be a toxin proc. And what are Corpus really weak to? Toxin procs. So, on something like this, a maximum range build, we have an open slot for the augment right here. This is actually, I think it's no helmet right now, so you could definitely min-max this a lot more. But we have a 53-meter radius on our Divine Spears. There's not enough, and I can't spawn enough enemies in the simulacrum, basically. So if this works the way I'm thinking it will, and it's definitely going to get nerfed before it even comes out, that would mean that if I did this, so every enemy is on the spear. Of course, I have 53 meters, so there's not enough space in here. I would throw this blade. Those guys dying right there would kill all of those guys because they are on a Divine Spears. And if for some reason they didn't die, and this Serata can kill level 10,000 Corpus in one hit, so they would get that DOT multiplied by 10 when the Divine Spears actually gets deactivated. So if that's the case, I mean, we're looking at probably one of the most broken things in the whole game, a 53-meter AoE one-shot. And by the way, this goes through walls too, so yeah, I don't think it will actually come out the way it was worded. Because remember, things in these dev workshops are something to change, or dev streams are something to change. So I just don't think they're going to actually go through with this one. It would be funny if they did, but yeah, it would make Sobek Saren look like a little baby's toy, pretty much. So yeah, that one's probably not going to come out the way it is, guys. But if it does, I think Nezha's augments are in Steel Meridian. You guys are going to get some good plat on day one selling those augments, because that one's going to just be straight up broken. But yeah, as far as the augments so far, this is the best of the bunch, Divine Retribution, and I would be really shocked if it comes out the way it's worded right here. If it does come out and it's the same exact thing, get ready for one of the fastest nerfs in Warframe history. Alright, but moving on past that, because let's not dwell, I mean, there's not really much to go off of. It just, you build big range and you throw a DOT proc. Everyone's dead. That's all you really need to think about there. For Armored Grenier, use a Glaive instead of a Serata. There you go. So move on to Elusive Retribution for Baruuk. This is going to be the first ability for Baruuk, the ability a lot of people do helmet off. I will admit to you, I am not a big Baruuk player. I just find his combo building annoying. And let's just go ahead and take a peek at what this is going to be. Now, I do, yeah, like I usually helmet off that ability, too. I got Wrathful Advance on Baruuk. But Elusive Retribution. Every attack Baruuk eludes increases his melee attack speed and melee crit damage by 5% up to 30%. Stacks last for 4 seconds. So, Elude is the ability where he basically instantly dodges all attacks. Let's see if I have a config that doesn't have the helmet off, because I usually do helmet it off. Helmet off there, helmet off here. There should be a no helmet build here at least. Okay, so we have a build with no helmet on here at least. So yeah, he will dodge attacks. Every attack dodged will give you increased melee attack speed and crit damage. That's going to be for basically players that are going to choose to subsume off maybe his 2 or his 3 for a Baruuk build. That'll make your fists attack faster. That'll make your fists have more crit damage. Not exactly a problem most of the time on Baruuk, but yeah. That's going to be not... I don't think this one will be used very much, to be honest, because most players are not really looking to use Baruuk's 1, straight up. I'm not looking to use Baruuk's 1. I'm not. I use Baruuk's other abilities, like his 3 and his 2 and his 4, I guess, and I use Wrathful Advance from Kullervo. So it's not really a thing where I'm ever even wanting to use his 1. I don't think this is going to really move the needle, but hey, if it scales with strength like it probably does, maybe it'll be worth to some players. But I usually just use things like Arcane Strike or Arcane Fury, or I guess for crit damage you now have Tenacious Bond. But yeah, I'm not really looking to use a Elude on Baruuk. Maybe for some attack speed or to free up some mod slots, it could be nice. But yeah, they're trying to make. It looks like they're trying to make augments for lesser used abilities to see if people, or rather, for the abilities people usually helmet off to see if people actually use them, and that is the case here. Not looking to use Elude, but if you do go around, it will be a good amount of power strength, or a good amount of attack speed and crit damage. Hopefully, if it does scale with strength, and those stacks only last for 4 seconds, but you should be constantly getting shot anyway. Moving on to another one that does not sound very good: Guardian Armor for Chroma. Now we did get clarification from Pablo on this one. It will work in affinity range, but yeah, I don't think I really want to be signing up my Chroma for a bunch of damage when he does not actually want to. So the way this one works: Vex Armor Augment. Chroma's health takes 50% of the damage dealt to allies. Squad kills restore 5% of his health and increases Vex Armor's duration by 1 second. Now that stuff will probably scale with strength. The amount of health you get restored and the duration you get per kill should scale with strength. So you're probably looking like about 3 or 4 seconds per kill. And you're also looking at probably about, I'm guessing like 15% health per kill as well from your allies. But as it says right here, you're redirecting the damage from your allies to yourself. And Pablo did clarify on Twitter, this will be affinity range. So you're basically giving your teammates 50% DR, and you're setting yourself up for some potentially really, really big damage. Now, Chroma is tanky. I got 1,200 armor on this build, 1,000 health, before Elemental Ward and all that stuff. But do you really want to be setting up yourself for all the damage, or half the damage your teammates would be taking? I don't think my Chroma wants to do that. So I'm not looking forward to this augment at all. I also think that it's like kind of like, why are we even bothering making this augment? Maybe it's something for a support Chroma build, but you know, he is tanky. But it's really not like, I don't want to be taking everyone's damage basically, if that makes any sense. I'll take damage for the enemies shooting at me and to get my Vex armor charged up. But this is eating up a mod slot too, so just kind of like a goofy quality of life mod that is probably going to actually be a downgrading quality of life sometimes when you're in a situation where the teammates are taking a bunch of damage. So probably not going to get used very much, but I guess on like maybe Vazarin Chroma, you could have increased affinity range. You can also avoid, you could dash through yourself with Vazarin every couple of seconds just to keep restoring your health. I could maybe see it, but also like it's such a niche little playstyle. I don't think it's going to really be too phenomenal. So let's move on to the next 5. We've got 5 more augments here, and let's start off with Loyal Merlina for Yareli. Now, we do have a clip of this one, and I really don't like Yareli at all, but this is going to be... This augment is made for people that don't like Yareli, but are forced to play Yareli, basically. So, Yareli will now be able to summon her Merlina K-Drive as her minion, and her minion will actually throw bubbles at the enemies. Pablo did clarify on Twitter that the 90% damage reduction of Merlina will still be provided to Yareli when you're running around like this, as long as your Merlina minion is walking around or floating around. So already good. I mean, you're not forced to ride in the K-Drive here. It's throwing out the bubbles. The bubbles do have a debuff on them. I believe the bubbles have a 2-second cooldown per cast for the Merlina Merlina minion. But yeah, this is looking great for people that are looking to, maybe they want to play Yareli for the crit buff or the bubbles or something, but they're like, I don't want to ride in the K-Drive, and I really don't like riding the K-Drive at all. This is going to be great. Now, the AI will probably not be phenomenal for this thing, the minion, but already better as far as I'm concerned. You'll still get your crit chance passive when you walk around, and you're going to still get, you can cast your abilities, obviously, so. And then, also, no one's really helmet, I mean, some people are helmeting off Yareli's too, but usually you helmet off, like, her 3 or something, so you'll have an easy way to have access to your helmet abilities when you're walking around not on the K-Drive. So, this will probably be one that people will be buying a lot on day 1, so if you want to stack some of these up to sell them, or stack up some rep to sell these on day 1, I'd say it's a pretty decent recommendation. Now, moving on to some other ones that are probably not going to be as good as this. I'd say, like, that's probably one of the top 3, honestly, that Loyal Merlina Guard Augment, so. But do keep in mind, though, if you have Merlina Guardian equipped for Yareli, you could not have 2 augments with the same ability active at the same time. So you're going to choose either Merlina Guardian or Loyal Merlina. Parasitic Vitality for Nidus. This one is probably the worst of the bunch. The thing about this one is that it's going to replace Vitality. Pablo said they're trying out something new. So the way that that's going to work is, let's just go look at like a normal Nidus build. Hopefully this is a normal one. So my normal Nidus build, nothing like, it's not like meant for like level 10,000, it's just meant for like normal gameplay. Look at what I have. I have Umbral Vitality, Umbral 5, Umbral Intensify, I have Umbra mods on here. If I was to replace my Umbral Vitality with a Augment, my stats go massively down. My armor gets reduced, my power shrink gets reduced. My health doesn't, well, my health technically gets reduced too by about 1,200. So what this Augment's going to do, this new Parasitic Vitality, so first, it doesn't give you any HP at all, unless you're linked. When you're linked to an ally, you'll gain 4% maximum health per mutation stack. So if you have 100 stacks, it's like 100% armor or whatever. So yeah, the mod is doing literally nothing if you're in solo, because you can't link to an ally if there's no one to link to. And also, you're just at base, you're losing so much on your build, taking up Umbra Vitality if you're using a Umbra build. So this is one of the worst augments I've heard in a while. I don't know why they're even, like, why does Nidus have, he has so many augments. Why are we making more Nidus augments? But yeah, he's getting another augment for his well, he might not have a Link augment technically, but he has he has so many augments. I feel like some of these frames that didn't deserve a second augment yet. Like, we have like 4 or 5 Nidus augments, but there's no Caliban augment. So, yeah, this augment's gonna be terrible Parasitic Vitality. Don't even bother getting it. Maybe it'll be funny in Inara's because his damage will scale with his health now, but I don't think so. Moving on to one that I'm excited for, Recrystallize for Citrine. This will be for her 4th ability, and the way it's gonna work is when an enemy is killed by a crystalline growth, it will stagger and spread crystals to enemies within 20 meters. So that's the 4th ability of Citrine, Crystallize. How it works is you cast it and it will seek out enemies with these crystals that will freeze them and gives you guaranteed red crits when you shoot these crystals. Now, the way it's worded, I'm not sure if it's going to be like when you shoot the crystal, it recasts the ability within 20 meters, or if the enemy dying to the base damage of the crystal is what's going to cause it. But either way, 20 meters is a pretty decent base range. Well, I don't have invincibility turned on. 20 meters is a pretty decent base range for an ability like this. So, like, if I was to break that right there, it would recast the crystals and the rest of those guys would get, like, re-stunned, I guess. Not exactly, like, the most user-friendly thing to shoot those crystals, because some of the weapons have bad hitboxes on them. Like, right there, I should be getting red crits, but it's just giving me yellow crits for some reason. And also, like, the cast animation for Crystallize is super long. So, I'm not trying to say it's going to be, like, phenomenal, but I also think that this is a good enough ability that giving an augment that spreads the effect and lets you not to cast the ability as much could be quite nice for Citrine players. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say this is probably not going to be as amazing as the Nezha one, or as desired as the Yareli one probably is for Yareli players. But for me, I'm looking forward to it. If it scales with range, that 20-meter radius at base will go to like 28 meters with Archon Stretch. And I've got like basically room for the augment right here. So I'm looking forward to that. But also, yeah, there's potential it just won't be very good. The crystals do spread pretty slowly the way it is right now. And if it spreads that speed again, I'm just not really looking forward to waiting around for those crystals, because I'm already trying to kill the enemies as fast as possible. And that's just, it's waiting around basically. But yeah, still cool. Moving on to the next one, Valiant Bond for Lavos. This one actually sounds pretty good. The passive augment for Lavos, ability cast will grant 250% elemental damage to your weapons, which will linger as a status effect on your weapons for 20 seconds. So 250% elemental damage before power strength. I don't know if power strength will scale with this, but that's pretty decent for, you know, a Lavos build. So, for example, you could use Lavos as a weapons platform frame. So let's go with, like, how about, like, the Torrid, for example. A lot of people like the Torrid. Lavos is passive. You get to, like, put different elements and combinations into your passive. So, for example, if I did this, I just put gas into my passive, I would have a gas Torrid. If I got rid of that, I'd make it a corrosive Torrid. And that should go on top of what I already have on the setup. So if you had a Nourish, for example, a Nourish Lavos, you could do corrosive, viral, gas, electric, IPS on some of those weapons. And that's pretty good, because, I mean, Lavos right now he's mainly an ability DPS character, where it's like, okay, you can make enemies take a bunch of gas procs with your 4, I guess. I mean, right now his weapons, he can buff status duration on weapons, but he can't really buff elemental damage. So this would be a great thing for Lavos to be dealing some more damage on the steel path, like lower level steel path where he's pretty good, where his base armor and health can hold him up pretty well. Now, if this does scale with strength, you can go for a massive power strength Lavos build, which would be like, you know, like 500% elemental damage, or like maybe even more. So interesting one there. I don't think it will be a must-have, but it will definitely be pretty good. And this will only be for yourself. It will not apply to your teammates' stuff, unfortunately. So no arbitration Lavos today. The last one we got is Wrath of Ukko for Kullervo. The way this one's going to work is that it's going to be for Storm of Ukko, his ulti. When you cast the ability, using your first ability, the Teleport Wrathful Advance will redirect the storm underneath where you teleported. So it will be great for low levels. Now, if you've never used Kullervo before, Storm of Ukko is a slash damage nuke. With this build, 23.5 meter radius and a 15-second duration. Teleporting with Wrathful Advance, his first ability will add a 6-second duration to this. So the way I'm looking at it, and you'd probably need a different build for this, is that, probably with Prime Flow, in a lower level exterminate mission, you'd throw it on the daggers, which would kill the entire room, because we're talking about low levels right now, so everything would be dead. I would go to the next room, I'd teleport to the next room, now my dagger storm is around me in the next room, everyone's dead in that room, rinse and repeat. Teleport to the next room, and so on and so forth. If the enemies are too tanky to die in one Storm of Ukko, you can link them together, and they're definitely going to die to that. And yeah, it's, now the thing is, do you really want to be using Kullervo in a low-level exterminate fissure? Maybe you're sick of Titania. I would say that this one actually sounds pretty good, but also, like, it's going to take a mod slot, too. So do you want to take off Hunter Adrenaline? Do you want to take off Adaptation, etc., etc.? Do you have room for it on your build? Because it does not seem to be an Exilus mod, even though it probably should be. But yeah, Wrath of Ukko sounds good. It's the first Kullervo Augment mod, too, so that's cool. But yeah, as far as the best ones, guys, I say the best augments to take a look out for and to be ready for on day one is definitely going to be Divine Retribution for Nezha, and also maybe Axios Javelineers for Styanax, and also, of course, Loyal Merlina for Yareli, and the other ones, probably not. I mean, so the Citrine one sounds fun to me, but I don't think it will be, like, really meta-defining. If this Nezha Augment comes out the way it's looking, it will be meta-defining, and it will definitely get nerfed. So let me know which augments you're looking forward to, guys. I do think the Citrine one sounds fun, but it's probably just for me. I just like getting red crits, and Citrine's really good against Acolytes, too. So I'm just thinking of, like, a Crystal Garden, basically, after I cast the ability once. So I see you guys in the next video. I'll be live on stream in a bit here, and I appreciate your support. Take it easy. Bye.